town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker.
Hey everyone, happy Thursday night. Happy almost summertime here. We're at the last weekend of May and I'm so excited to be here tonight. If you missed the first part of the show, I was part of a double header with tonight's guest, and now it's my turn to be the host. If you missed that episode, go and check it out. I was just on All Out Paranormal with Rex Nielson and Miss Candy, and of course, producer Brandon Cooper. That, really excited and thank them for having me on their show. So we are doing a double header tonight. I was his guest, and he is going to be my guest. But before we get to that, I do want to go ahead and say hello to everyone that's here and also to talk about a few different announcements. I am here in a different garage of sorts. I'm actually here at my mom's house. Normally, I would be at the historic Scott County Jail, but we do have an investigation tonight that will be that I will actually be going and working after we get off of this podcast. But so I am here. I officially sold my house. Goodbye, Cleveland, closing that chapter of the book, and very excited to now be a full-time resident up here in Scott County, taking on the historic Scott County Jail and our new venture, if you missed that announcement, Historic Rugby After Dark. So I'll be talking about that here in just a few minutes, but I wanted to talk about a few interesting things that we've had going on this past weekend. Wanted to let me get this pulled up here. This past weekend, if you've been watching the show for any point of time, you will know that we talked about this, scholarship that we were giving away that was named in honor of my dad. It was the Harold Young Memorial Scholarship, and this is the third annual scholarship that we did. We had the event this past weekend, which was a dart run, gave away a really cool trophy that was made by Smashed Thumb. But let me go ahead and pull up this picture that shows this year's winner. We're going to be, give me 1 second here, and let me get that pulled up. Let's see here. Not sure if it shows up on here. Whoops. I'm showing the wrong thing, apparently. We haven't posted the pictures online just yet because things have been pretty crazy the last little bit. But this is this year's winner. This is Miss Jerica Clark, and she's going to school to be a nurse, and she's going to be attending UT. I think that she said she's either going to focus on ER nursing or potentially neonatal nursing. So very excited and honored to be able to give her this $1,000 scholarship. That's my mom over there, and on the other side, that's a couple representatives from the Widow's Sons Masonic Writers Association that we were honored to partner with on this wonderful event. And so we partnered with them. The other sponsors was Dilligaff Cycle Shop, Smashed Thumb, and then also myself with Ghost Biker Explorations, the historic Scott County Jail, and a Creative Means Designs. So very, very excited to give her that scholarship. We will be releasing a video on that this week, showing from the events. Unfortunately, the weather did not cooperate with us, so we didn't have as good of a turnout as we would have liked, but we did end up raising $950. Actually, we had a donation come in today, so $975 toward the $1,000 scholarship. We've got a couple others that are coming in, so we're just thankful for everyone that's taken the time to come to this event and taken the time to send in donations. We really, really appreciate that, and are planning some other events and some really cool things that we're hoping to add to this scholarship. We are still accepting donations. If you would like to send anything toward that, every little bit helps. You can make your checks payable to Miranda Young. Make sure that you put in the notes that it is for the Harold Young Memorial Scholarship, and send those to 214 Lytton Covered Bridge Road. We'll have that posted on the page whenever we post the video. And also want to show the winner of the trophy there. Let me get that pulled up. It's kind of funny, but the winner of this year's dart run, the way you end up winning is the person who had the most hand, or who had the best hand at the different or throughout all the stops. That was the one who had who ended up winning. And this year's winner, well, I did the same thing again. Again, I apologize. This year's winner, and I wanted to be able to show that. Bear with me one second as I get that pulled up. This year's winner was actually my mom. She played the best hand out of everybody that attended the event. And check out that cool trophy that was made by Smash Thumb Welding and Fabrication. So again, we're hoping to have a good turnout next year, and very honored that Mom won that as well. It was kind of a surprise. So anyways, a couple other things that we've got going on. You can book your paranormal investigation there at the historic Scott County Jail. We do have dates still available during the month of June. June is pretty well booked up, but we do still have a few dates available. We also have flashlight tours and guided ghost hunts there throughout the month of June and July up on the schedule. And wanted to take just a few minutes and just reshare the information about our Rugby After Dark that is going on. We did announce this last week that we have partnered with Historic Rugby, and we're offering lantern tours, we're offering guided ghost hunts, we're offering private paranormal investigations. And one of the really cool things about these paranormal investigations is you get to investigate an entire village. And so you get to investigate the grounds, and then you will have access to 4 different locations with on the grounds here. And that includes the Hughes Library, Kingstone Lyle, the old Rugby Schoolhouse, and Uffington House. And so you will have access to those grounds. And that is part of a 6.5-hour investigation. And this library that's there is so cool. It is the oldest lending library here in the Southeast. And when you go in there, you're surrounded by books, some as old as the 1600s. So these are some are original first edition copies. So it's really quite a cool and amazing location. Another special thing that we're offering when it comes to the paranormal is we're offering several on limited dates private paranormal investigations with lodging. And with that, you will have access to those 4 buildings and the grounds that I mentioned. But you can turn it into a true overnight investigation and stay in one of these 3 amazing lodging locations that they have on site. The Pioneer Cottage, which is the one that you're seeing on the screen, Newberry House, and Piercy Cottage. Prices do vary for each of the locations because they do sleep different people. I think that Piercy and Pioneer, I'd need to look. I think it's like 6 to 8 that those sleep. And then, of course, Newberry House, it is a boarding house. So it does sleep, I think, like 14 or 18 people. And so we've got all of these dates. We've already got one that's sold out. And we do limit the number of people that can be there to 8 people for these investigations because these are small British homes. And so, and of course, the library and the school, they're all kind of small. So we try to keep the numbers small, but we do have those dates on there, and you can go on and you can make that a true overnight investigation. Hope you'll check into it. This is on the History, Highways, and Haunts page, and you can go in there and find those dates. So very, very excited about that, to be able to offer that new venture. So if you have any questions at all, just got the website up this week, just got the booking set up this week. So hopefully we can get some more of those booked. And if you're in town for Memorial Day weekend, hope you'll come in and spend it with us at either the jail or the at Historic Rugby. And I just got to mention too, we are doing a special event on Monday. We're going to have that information posted up either tonight or in the morning. We're going to have author J.H. Gason at the jail. He's going to be there. He's going to be signing books. We're also offering discounted rates on Monday to our law enforcement officers, our military. If you are a service worker, come in, you will get a discount on our daytime general admission. And we're going to be playing taps at noon on Monday. So we're honored to be able to do this event. So we will have more information about that coming up very, very soon. So I want to go ahead and get to tonight's guest, because like I said, we were part of a double header, and very, very gracious to spend his time with me tonight and be talking about his experiences within the paranormal. So if you will, please help me welcome my friend, Mr. Rex Nielson. Hey, Rex.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. And I know it's been kind of a long evening with both of our shows here.
It's been so much fun, though, and I'm honored to be on your show. I truly am.
Absolutely. And I just got to say, if anyone has any comments over here, please feel free to put those there in the chat room, and we will definitely get those pulled up, because I know once we get to talking, people are going to have questions for you.
Absolutely. I don't have a problem talking, so I have the gift to gab.
I love it. Well, it was so cool whenever we met. So we ended up meeting in South Carolina, and I'd seen you on Facebook, and we share mutual friends with Dan and Larry and some of those folks up in your region. And it was just so cool to be able to meet you in person. I wish we had gotten more time to be able to sit and chat.
Me too. I was excited. I mean, it was just, I was blessed to be able to be at that Paracon, and then, I've watched you, I followed you, and you're going to be there. And there were so many people that I wanted to meet, and I got the chance to meet, and it was fantastic. I mean, all the people I've met, I've kept in touch with, and it's fantastic. I can't wait till next year's.
Yes, and I gotta say, I mean, Brandon did such an amazing job of,
He really did.
one, just putting it together, but two, representing. That's probably been the first Paracon, especially the first annual one, where he had people representing regions from all over the country. And you just don't see that at a lot of these Paracons, especially on the first annual ones.
Exactly. And he did an amazing job, and I had so much fun. I spent almost 2 weeks there, and we just had an absolute blast.
I love that. I love that. So, why don't, for the folks, because I'm sure we've got a lot of people on here that tuned into the last show and that also that know you, but for those that don't, why don't you go ahead and start with telling us with how your paranormal journey got started, which I heard a little bit of your story, and it's really interesting.
It started when I was 4 in Raleigh, Iowa. I've grown up most of my life in Iowa. I moved away. I've lived on both coasts, but I've always come back to the Midwest. We had a house in Raleigh, and I had the biggest room upstairs, and I had a closet that they had steps in it that went into the wall, which freaked me out. Why would you do that? And what was behind the wall? My dad never tore open the wall or anything, so I have no clue what was behind there. But I had actually just turned 4, and I was awoke by, I could hear these voices in my head. So I woke up and I looked, and there's 2 apparitions in my room. And I called them the bad ones. And you'll understand why here in a minute. They would tell me the most disgusting, horrible, horrendous things. I've never repeated them to this day, and I won't. The only thing I'll tell you is they wanted me to kill my baby sister.
Wow.
And this went on for 4 years straight, every single night. And they were actually, I kept them here hoping. I actually have pictures that I drew of them. And the more, they were like liquid smoke, kind of, and all you could see was just like this smoky outlying form and just 2 holes where their eyes were at. And this is what I saw. I'm sorry, get it in here. Hoo-doo-doo. For 4 years straight.
Wow.
Get it in.
I mean, that had to be terrifying.
It was. I mean, my room, I believe it was 10 foot by 8 foot, and my bed was up over in the corner. So it was like this, and there was a window on this wall and a window on this one, and my bed was right there. And they were always wanting me to get off the bed. Never did. But the more I ignored them, the worse it got. Until one night, they were just bombarding me with these horrible things, and I turned and was sitting facing the corner. Well, that day I'd gone to town with my mother, and I'd gotten a bunch of Hot Wheels.
Okay.
And I'm a little OCD. So across the room was my dresser, and I had lined up all the new Hot Wheels across the top of the dresser. And they were getting extremely irate with me. And I just, kept holding my head and shaking, going, no, I'm not listening to you. And all of a sudden, the Hot Wheels started shooting off my dresser towards me. And we're talking 10 foot across the room. And they hit like an invisible wall and fell just before they hit me. And at that time, 2 more apparitions showed up at the foot of my bed. And I called them the good ones. And I drew a picture of them as well. This is what I saw.
Okay. Wow.
And this, there was no detail or anything, but, I could tell what era they were from. She had a big bun in her hair. She had a big bustle. He had his, what do they call those hats?
Like a bolo almost?
Yes. And he had a cane, and they were standing there, and I could hear them in my head saying, don't worry, we're here to protect you, which made the bad ones even more irate. But every night it was a battle, and this is so cliche, between good and evil. And it went on for 4 years until we moved. And, of course, I told my parents about it. And, what are they going to tell a 4-year-old? Oh, you're just dreaming, blah, 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 blah. Well, when we moved away, it all quit. Until I'll be 58 next month. And this was probably 3-4 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was in my room reading a book. And all of a sudden, my room fills up with this brilliant orangish, yellowish light. I mean, just fills the entire room. And of course, I'm doing one of these,
Yeah.
Looking over the top of the book. And at the end of the foot of my bed were the good ones.
Oh.
And I could see them as plain as I can see you. I could see she was absolutely beautiful. She had a royal blue dress on, a bustle. He had a pinstripe suit on. He had spats on his shoes. He had a handlebar mustache, and they stood there, and I'm getting goosebumps telling about it right now. You're looking at 55 years later. They're showing themselves, and it was so amazing to see them physically. And what I'd had in my head since the age of 4 was exactly what they looked like.
Wow.
And they stood there and they smiled, and I was so enlightened and so happy. I mean, at that moment, I didn't have a care in the world. There was no anger. There was no hostility. It was just absolute peacefulness. And I just sit there. It seemed like forever that we just kind of just looked at each other and just kept smiling. And then all of a sudden, each one of them, he reached down and touched my right leg, and she reached down and touched my left leg. And I finally got to see them speak. And they both looked at me and said, "Don't worry, we will always be there for you." And then they just kind of floated back into that beautiful light, and then they were gone. And that, the age of 4 is when my paranormal journey started till now. I mean, I've always been interested in it, and have read everything I could get my hands on once, I knew what I had experienced at the age of 4. And, and finally in 2011, I started All Out Paranormal with my 2 boys.
Wow. So did you tell your parents the things that they were telling you?
No.
The things that the bad ones?
No, I couldn't. I just couldn't. And at the now being older, at the age of 4, I knew what they were saying was not right, but it's not something that a 4-year-old would hear.
Yeah.
And it was so macabre. And the older I got, I was just like, I couldn't have translated it properly, I don't think. But once I knew exactly what was being said, there's no way. I will not repeat it. It'll go to my grave with me. I know.
Good for you. Good for you. I mean, I can't even imagine just how terrifying that would have been. But, it's interesting the way you describe the good ones, as you call them. I've heard several other people describe experiences with a man in a bolo hat that was a positive experience in that way. Do you have any theories on who those individuals are and why they were, I don't want to say from that period, but from such a distinct period?
Right. Everybody said, well, it's got to be somebody in your family. And I have perused all the pictures and everything. Nobody like those 2 ever came up. To me, I don't know if they're my guardian angels or what, and I know they're there all the time because I can feel them there, and I don't get scared. I mean, I can't wait to go out and do an investigation because I'm like, what am I going to find out this time? I'm not going to kid you. When I started first doing it, I was scared to death. And, I'm 6'7" and 300 pounds, and I'm scared to death. I'm not going to lie. I'm man enough to admit it.
I can understand that.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. It's nothing, because I keep looking, years later, going to investigations and stuff and looking at pictures and going, could that be them? But when I look at them, I'm going, no, it's not. So it's kind of a cool mystery for me. But I don't feel that it's any of my family. I really don't. So it's an ongoing thing, and I get asked that all the time. And some people are, oh, come on, you got to know more than that. Well, I don't, or I tell you.
I'm a
And
firm believer things are revealed when the time is right. And I
yes,
mean, there's obviously a reason that they showed back up at the time that they did, and that they showed up when they did in the beginning. So I think that may be revealed to you, at that when the time is right.
and I feel the same way, and I feel that when it's revealed that they are going to be there in front of me again, and I've felt that ever since they appeared to me a few years ago, and I'm actually really excited about you know crossing paths with them again and being able to and hopefully speak more to them.
Do you
There was
believe? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, that's okay. I just didn't. It was so weird for 4 years. All I heard was them speaking to me in my head, and then to finally hear them speak, and I really wanted to talk to them more. I really did, but it seemed like we spent an eternity just looking at each other and smiling.
Do you believe that the bad ones were? Do you believe that they were connected to the house or the land?
No,
No.
no, not at all. It. I mean, and when I was younger, of course, I didn't know, but
Yeah.
it's the older I've got because it still feels like it happened yesterday because it was such a 4 year running sitcom, if you want to, same thing every single night, every single, same time. But no, there was no connection with the house or with the land.
Wow.
And I still, have searched on it and I've talked to, many mediums and shamans and everything else. Don't know why. I don't know
Wow.
if it's because I guess of what was laid out for my future already, if it was this huge test that was going to be put upon me or what, but
Mhm.
it didn't deter me from anything that I wanted to set out and do. It actually, after this happened, is tenfold of me wanting to delve into the paranormal and supernatural so much more.
I can understand that. Yeah. So you said you started All Out Paranormal with your boys.
Mhm.
Did they have that same passion for the paranormal as you?
Uh, my oldest did. He was living with me at the time. He had graduated high school. Obviously, I was divorced. Um, but I was off from work. I worked for the sheriff's department, and I retired from the sheriff's department, law enforcement altogether, April of 2019 after 31 years.
Wow.
And I was home with a broken ankle. And no, this is not some incredible story. I wasn't chasing anybody or anything. I stepped in a damn hole and broke my ankle. So I was off from work, and the only way I could actually sleep comfortably was to sleep sitting on the floor with my back against the couch, and Christopher was sleeping on the couch. And of course, at that time, we were watching every, paranormal show that was out there. And it was like an epiphany. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we kind of looked at each other and went, Chris goes, Dad, and I go, Chris, we can do this. We can do this. Let's start our own team. So that night, came up with the name, the logo, started our Facebook page, and it's just really taken off, especially in the last year. Unfortunately, my two boys are not a part of it anymore. They are still All Out Paranormal. That will never change. I said that I would never replace them because I started it out as a family thing, and it will always be that way.
Mhm.
But doing it for 4 years by myself, going flying out to Colorado and doing the St. Cloud Hotel by myself and other things, I just couldn't keep up with it. So, Candy and Derek, I had met. I had been brought into another group, and I had met them there, and we decided all well, I was still All Out Paranormal. That never quit.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked my boys, I said, hey, would you guys mind if I brought in some new members to help me out? Because if they'd have said no, I wouldn't have. I'd still be going it alone. So Candy and Derek are part of it. My wife is, and she's in bed right now because she has to work a 12-hour shift tomorrow. And there we are.
Yeah.
That's when I went to Waverly Hills.
Oh,
You don't
nice.
realize how big that place is until you're standing in front of it.
Just impressive. I mean,
Oh, it is. You see stuff on TV and you're going, wow, what a neat, big place. And then you stand in front of it and you're just like, oh, TV didn't do it any justice at all.
Yeah, very true. And just it's really almost overwhelming.
It really is. I wish that we'd have had more time there, but on my bucket list, and I just bought that new motorcycle and I drove it out there, and I took all 2-lane out there. I took 3 days to get out there. Loved the ride. Got to do this with my son, my oldest. Him and his fiance have their own Traveler's Moon.
Okay.
And we all got together, and it was amazing. It just wasn't enough time that we got to spend there. That's the only thing. Because, the stuff started right away.
Wow.
And it's just so overwhelming. We're standing outside, and we're doing our outside tour before we got to investigate. So I'm standing there, I'm looking up on the second floor, and I see a shadow figure standing there looking right down at me. And all of a sudden, a bunch of other people in the group come up behind me, and they said, are you looking at where I think you're looking at? I said, why? What do you see? And they said, that shadow figure standing there. And I took pictures. And at that time, they are replacing all the windows in it, but second floor was still no windows. And all of a sudden it turns and it walks, and as it goes to the next pillar, it doesn't come out the other side. So when we got up to that floor, we did everything we could to see if there was anything up there that could have caused that. And there wasn't a thing that could have caused it. And this was 15 minutes into our tour, and it was that way until it was over with that night. And it was so ungodly hot. They had the new area that was air conditioned and stuff where you could, leave your stuff and everything. But man, when you were out walking around that building, I was soaked from head to toe. It was just, it was worth it though. I don't know if I'll ever get back there. But
yeah, for me, it's I'm fine with a once in a lifetime experience there, just going, saying I've investigated it. But the shadow figures people capture, even during the day on the daytime tours, the shadows that you can just see just running across the halls. It's unlike anywhere I've ever, as far as like shadow play, it's unlike anywhere I've ever been.
Yeah, because we went to Missouri State Pen last weekend, and they're everywhere. They call them peepers. And it was, we just had a tour, but we took, oh my God, I can't believe how many pictures that we took. And it's an overwhelming place to be there. It's huge. And we're definitely going to go back for an overnight, because when you go for an investigation, once it starts, they say, have at it. You get to go wherever you want.
Oh, nice. You
get to go to all the buildings, the dungeon, just on and on and on. The gas chamber, it was unreal, because at one point we were, if it was solitary, but we're walking, and I went with the one tour guide, and the one that was bringing up the rear, because I had my knee replaced in December, and I get the other one replaced in November. I'm quicker than I used to be. but I let everybody get ahead of me because the stairs is still difficult for me to go up and down, especially down. So I'm with her, and she goes, "Well, which way we want to go?" And I said, "Let's go this way around the bar." She goes, "Good call, but because you can sit in the window seal." So we get down, and you get halfway down, and they shut the lights off, and
Oh.
it's pitch black in there. They wait for your eyes to adjust,
Mhm.
and so we're sitting there, and they said, there's a lot of activity that goes on in here. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking in front of me. I can see the cells and the bars now that I'm acclimated to it. Then all of a sudden, this big shadow figure starts walking back and forth on the other side of the bars. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it. So I set forward towards the bars. All of a sudden, these two hands shot out through the bar to reach for me. And so I sit back, and the lady goes, "What?" And I said, "You didn't see that?" She goes, "No, I was looking down to the right." And I told her that was going on, and she turns and she goes, "Oh my God, he's still standing there." I said, "Yeah." And evidently, he was not happy that I bent forward to get a better look.
Did you use your law enforcement background at all when you were there? Or do you think they knew?
I think they knew that while I was there, and I think that's why they reached through, because they call it the bloodiest 47 acres, because the riots that went on there and all the executions, and wow, the place was just phenomenal.
I've
But
heard only good things about that place.
and I can't wait to go back and actually do an investigation, because it's so cool. They just turn you loose and you can go wherever you want. And by God, we're going to look forward to, we're trying to get something for next year. So it'll be worth
Nice.
it, because it's not that bad of a drive. It's about 5 hours
Okay.
from here, 5.5.
Okay.
So
So do you like investigating those larger places like that, or do you prefer the smaller?
I do, but I got into the paranormal to help people, to do private investigations, personal homes and such. Because I've become so close to a lot of families for, going investigating, clearing the homes for them, giving them a sense of well-being. Because, the first thing we get, don't think I'm crazy, but this is what I'm going, really? Look what I do for a living. Why in the heck would I think you're crazy asking me this question? There's no way. And as All Out Paranormal started in 2011, and I've never taken a dime for anything, and I won't. That's not why I got into it. I wanted to help people, especially if children are involved.
Mm-hmm.
And the houses that we've cleared, and we're still friends with all these people. I mean, they call us and give us updates, and the kids are graduating high school now and on to college and everything else. It's just amazing. That's why I got into it. So smaller places still has a bigger part for me. I mean, it's neat to go to all these huge places, but then you're with 50 to 75 other people.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to watch who you're with, because just as our team, we go into a small thing, we know when to tag something. Oh, that's me, I farted. Or oh, I bumped my toe, tag it. But when you're with around a bunch of people that are like 3 a year paranormal investigators, you get so much contamination, then you're sitting there going, well, is it or isn't it?
Yeah.
And so I obviously I don't release it, but the smaller venues, Villisca, and some of the other places that we've been to, it's much more intimate, and we get a lot more accomplished, I guess I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And the team works so well that, you don't have to explain anything to anybody. You don't have to babysit anybody. And you know that it's going to be done. It's going to be done very well. So, but yeah, long story short, I guess, yes, the smaller venues I would prefer.
Gotcha. Well, we have a question here from Nancy. And I
Okay.
apologize. Something loud is driving by. Nancy says, do your boys have any gifts? But actually, I want to know, do you have any gifts?
Yeah, I just don't make it be known. It's something that I ignored and put aside for years. Finally, it came to light. Chris and I were doing a Paracon,
Mm-hmm.
and we had just got done because we love to speak to people. And we had so many people that showed up. The room was full and the hallway was full for people to come here speak.
Mm-hmm.
So we were telling everybody, our time was up, that we were headed back to our booth. Please come down. We'll talk to you more.
Mm-hmm.
On my way down, a lady come up to me and she tapped me on the shoulder and she had been crying. She goes, "You can help me." And see, I don't make it known what I can do. And I knew what she was talking about. I looked at her and I said, "What do you mean that I can help you?" And she goes, "I know you can. You're the only one that can help me." And I said, and she goes, "You do know what I'm talking about?" I said, "Yes, I do." So we got back to the booth, and I can see if a person has an attachment, whether it's good or bad.
Okay.
I can get rid of the so-called monkey on their back. It's a gift, I guess, of healing, and and a lot of them will come. Spirits will show themselves to me, and it took me the longest time to shut it off because I just would walk into a place and I would just get suffocated because I'd get surrounded, and then they all want to be recognized at one time. So I had to get to the point where, because no matter where we go, I hear all the time, "He's here to help us." And
Wow.
the lady, I brought her behind our tables, and I said, "I know what you're talking about. I don't let this be known, but I know you need to be helped." And her marriage had been destroyed. She had lost her job. She had no home, and everything had just turned dark for her. And I told her what I needed to do, and ended up doing it because I actually have to touch the person. So I let them know, is it okay if I lay hands on you? And I tell them certain things that might or might not happen. Just don't be surprised. And after it was over with, and it's amazing because I didn't realize how many people were standing around and watching when I do this, their demeanor changes. They their appearance changes. They're full of light. They're happy. The weight's been lifted, cliche. The monkey's gone off their back. And I ended up doing 8 people that day.
Wow. Wow.
And you want to talk about a paranormal hangover. It took me a long time. And I had people standing there and they were sobbing. And these people still contact me to this day. The first time I did this for that lady, it was about a month later, she contacted me. She had gotten the job of a dream that she'd always wanted. She was making 100-fold times more than she ever did at any job. She had met the man of her dreams. She moved to the state that she always wanted to live in, got her dream home. And all these people still get a hold of me to this day and thank me for it. And I tell them, well, it's a gift. I can't take all the credit. I'm a vessel, and I'm a man of faith. And obviously, it was given to me by a higher power, and they deserve all the credit and the glory. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. But yeah, and that's what I'm able to do. Now I guess it's out there even more. My oldest son, yes. My youngest son, and he's an amazing kid, and he's actually taller than I am, which I've
Wow.
never, me being 6'7", And Christopher is like 6'2". Well, Chame is 6'8". I'm 6'7", and Chris is like 6'2", and we call him short. And he's like, I'm over 6 foot tall. I said, well, you just keep telling everybody that. Somebody will believe it.
It's so funny when you say that. It's so funny because my brother is between 6'6" and 6'7", and of course I'm 6 foot, and my sister's 6 foot, and so it's so funny because I always thought like if a guy was below 6 foot, he was short. And so I couldn't even imagine. I mean, because you are a dominating presence, but yet a teddy bear, and so
Yes,
I couldn't
exactly
even I
right.
couldn't even imagine the way some of these spirits at some of the locations, especially like at the prisons and places like that, when you all walk in, they're probably like, okay. I bet it's kind of challenging for some of them, especially the prison ones.
It is, because I've been to quite a few. Been to the Ohio State Men's Reformatory and a couple, jails. And it's always known. I get that feeling as soon as I walk through the door. The boss is here, and and it's funny because it's different every place I go, but yet it's the same.
Yeah.
And it's never boring. I'll give it that. I mean, it wasn't boring for doing it for 31 years. I mean, it was something new every single day. And if anybody, I always get the question, do you miss it? No, I don't. I couldn't do it anymore. Physically, it had taken such a huge toll on my body. Emotionally, especially in the last, 10 years, we were the most hated things on the face of the earth. And it wasn't worth me going out there and worrying my family anymore. I could be sitting there eating my lunch or writing a report, and somebody can just come up behind me and shoot me just because I wore a badge.
Yeah.
And I'd missed too much of my boys' life because of doing this, and I was done. I even retired 6 months early because it wasn't worth it anymore. Now, don't get me wrong, everybody. I did love and adore what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't what I set out to do in life, because I graduated from the University of Northern Iowa with 3 BAs, graphic design, elementary ed, and child psychology. The only reason I got into law enforcement because my ex-father-in-law told me I was too fat and too stupid.
Wow.
So I took it personally, and that's what I ended up having my career at.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I did enjoy it. I do think I made a lot of difference in a lot of people's lives. And I was never the one to walk in, and strong arm anybody. And I really didn't have to. I could talk down a situation very easily instead of escalating it. But I'm glad that chapter's closed and gone. I'm proud of what I did.
Mm-hmm.
The most thankless job I had ever done in my entire life. But I got up, put that 18 pounds worth of equipment on, and I, wanted to go out and crush crime and suppress evil and make a difference. And I think I did. I've never had a negative thing said about me. I never had anybody write a report or complain to the sheriff's department or the board of supervisors or anything about the way I handled myself and did the job. So now I get to do whatever I want. I'm retired.
That's right. And, I echo Nancy's sentiments of, thank you for your service on that, because
Thank you.
The way things are today, it's such a disgrace, the way they treat our officers because of what you guys do, putting your lives on the line, going out, taking care of, of society. And I just don't really even have the words for how angry it makes me of how disrespected people are. And I don't understand how anyone would choose to go into that field today after the way they're treated, and what you guys put your life on the line for, you know?
Yeah, because people. I've even had family members, dog law enforcement and stuff, and my simple response is, do you have a job where you run towards danger?
That's right. That's right.
And I don't have a second thought. I'm always going to be a cop. When I go into some place, I can't sit with my back to the door. I find out where all the exits are. And if it comes up, I would give my life to save everybody that was in there. That will never change. I swore an oath, and I'm going to keep it until the day I'm not walking in the physical presence on this earth. So,
well, and you have, I just got to say, and I picked up on this very, very quickly when we met. And then just from the times that we've spoke, and then from our podcast earlier, you have such a calm demeanor and such a calming presence. And I can see where that would work really well for you in a situation, especially where you're having to talk down a situation. I can see where that would work really well.
And it did work very well. It really did. I mean, and before somebody asked, no, I never shot anybody. I had drawn my weapon, come close to shooting somebody on my first day out. If but I still carry when I go out, of course. And there's a difference between me and somebody that carries, especially somebody that's robbing something or doing anything. I pull my weapon, I'm going to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Because I know the consequences, and I'm going home at the end of the day, and so is everybody else around me. So anyway.
I actually want to get into, you mentioned your background in graphic design and art. I want to talk about your art, because whenever we did meet, that was one of the things that I really, really enjoyed, because I'm a fellow artist as well. And so I really enjoyed seeing your work, and I'm really excited to be able to share your information here about your book and about your art that you have. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's one of my pieces there. It's a strange story. 30 plus years ago, I quit drawing because I lost faith in my ability to do it. And it's such a cliche thing to say, but I had an epiphany about 2014. I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden I just went, oh my God, I need to start drawing again. And I hadn't put pen to paper or pencil to paper in years. My boys didn't know I could draw, and they're 30 and 27.
Wow.
And at that time, they had no clue that Dad could do what he did. I was way out of practice, and it took me a while to figure out which medium I was going to go back into and what I was going to do. Then it just kind of fell into place, and I was doing stuff once in a while. But now that I'm retired, I mean, it's just gone tenfold. Letriana Brown, who I became just absolute friends with and adore her. She has 2 children books coming out, and I did all the illustrations for them, which is surreal. I've never had anybody ask me to do that before. But after I finished the illustrations for the first children's book, she called me on a Tuesday and said, love the pictures. The book is going to be amazing once it comes out. And she goes, I've been talking to my publisher, and my publisher thinks that we should publish a book of your art.
Oh.
And my exact words were, oh, who gives a shit? I never thought, who's going to, buy a book of my art? And I said, I actually started crying. And she's, to bring that up, and her publisher to believe in me and my art, I told them, okay, I'd love to. When's my deadline? They said Friday, and this was Tuesday. Luckily, the book, I did bring a copy in here, didn't I? This is what it looks like. And
Okay.
it says Unexplainable Art in black and white. All the pictures in it are black and white, obviously. And it I just published it 3 weeks ago. My first book is out. There are no spoken words in it. It's just my art. The bio on the back of it, I did not write it. Litriana did. She makes me out to be way larger than life. I mean, the bio just blew me away when I read it. There's a dedication page in there and an acknowledgement page. And that's basically it. And then just a bunch of my art in black and white. And I guess I'll let everybody know I was going to wait to tell you I submitted everything on Tuesday for my second book.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
And like I said, my wife came up with the title of that because I was like, what am I supposed to do? And she goes, well, Unexplainable Art in black and white. And I'm going, wow, that's fantastic. I feel, and I'm glad she was there to do it because I was actually really stuck on it. And it's overwhelming the people that have come forward and liked my work and appreciate it. It seems so surreal because, like I said, the last month is just blown up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing illustrations for books. I put a book out. I'm working on a book with my youngest son. That is going to be an amazing book. A lot of people know about it. I love him dearly. He's an amazing kid. He just got back from his third stint in rehab.
Mm.
He lives with me. Started his new job today, and he loves it. Absolutely loves it. And he talked to me. He goes, Dad, can we collaborate on a book together? I said, absolutely. What do you want me to do? He goes, I want you to put pictures into my feelings and what I've gone through with my addiction. I want you to put it into pictures, and I will write about it. And he wants to do like 50 or 60 pictures. But what he has told me so far, I put them into drawings. They're dark, but they have to be because I can't imagine what he's gone through. I mean, at all. His emotions or anything. It's just, I know how it's hard. It's been on me because all I ever wanted to be was a dad. And my two boys mean the world to me. And for him and he's come out of this third rehab with such a different outlook on things and much more positive and more talkative and happy. I mean, the smile on his face when he got home from his 10 hours working today was like, wow. Because he's a worker. There's no doubt about that. He's a master welder. And he started today. And he loves it. And he goes, Dad, I'm actually going to go in at 4:00 in the morning. Then I'm done at 2. I said, there you go. So anyway, I'm collaborating on a book with him. I don't know when it'll come out, but it will be, I think, something completely different and hopefully will help other people going through what he has, the demons that he has to deal with and he's going to deal with for the rest of his life. And he wants to take all the proceeds from it and put it to a charity of his choice.
Wow.
Because he told me, you could keep all the profits, Dad. And I said, no. I said, this is your book. All Dad is doing is drawing pictures. Wow. This is your experience, your demons and what you're dealing with. And I'm just putting it into picture form to let people know. And he goes, then I want to donate everything, the proceeds from it, to charity. So he's going to pick out one, and I'm sure it'll be dealing with rehab somewhere, and I'll be proud to do it for him.
Wow, what an honor. And what I was going to say difficult job you have before you, just showing that. But I know if anyone would do it justice, I mean,
I've tried.
wow.
Actually, I'll give a preview. There's some that I've done, and they're pretty powerful. There's one, and he's always talking about the nightmares.
Hmm.
So, and this is the one I did for the nightmares. And he actually was like, "Oh my God, Dad, that's exactly what I wanted to get across."
Oh, wow.
So, and it all around it says stop, 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 stop. And then it says nightmare underneath it. And he goes, "That's exactly what it is, Dad." Because I don't know what he's going through. I really don't.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got a portfolio that I started because the portfolio also has all the new pictures for the new book that I hopefully be published by next week.
Okay.
There's 2, 4, 6 that I've done so far for the book. And they're pretty powerful images. And I'm honored because I've only redrawn one, because when I did it, I put an expression on the face of the individual, and he goes, "No, Dad, there should be no face.
Wow.
There should be nothing." And so I redrew it, and I actually liked the second drawing I did for it much better. So everybody keep an eye out. I think it's gonna be an absolutely life-changing, not only for me and for him, but for a lot of people. Because it's like being in the trenches, like Brandon and what he's gone out and done.
Yeah.
I know he's changed a lot of people's lives, and from what he's done, and he's an amazing individual. And I believe Chaim is going to do the same thing once the book is done.
I love that. I mean, the testimonies that these folks have when they come through this. I mean, it's always a continual struggle, but just the testimony. I mean, they're just a living testimony that, I mean, it's undeniable. When you see that.
And the thing that was so hard about this is I knew he fell and fell hard for the 3rd time, but I put him on a plane to New Jersey less than 24 hours than I was on a plane to come to South Carolina for the Paracon.
Oh, wow.
I got all that taken care of, got him into a place just within less than probably 12 hours. And I had him on a plane. He'd never flown. And once we got to security, and he was still drunk. I mean, he doesn't remember much of anything. Doesn't remember the flight, none of it. And it really got to me to see the expression on his face when I got to security, and I said, "I can't go any farther. This is your step now." And to see the expression on his face was, I mean, it was tough. It was tough when I first got to South Carolina because I wasn't allowed to hear from him.
Yeah.
And but he come back such a different person. I mean, he was saying things that he never said the first 2 times he was in rehab. Never. But anyway, and if anybody wants to know, I'm an open book, and Chaim knows all about it, and he does like having his story out there and being told. So it's not like I didn't do it without his permission, everybody. If he was here, he'd be talking about it as well.
Wow.
So,
well, we definitely want to have you back on whenever you get ready to release that book.
I'm hoping by the end of the year.
Okay. For sure. I mean, it looks like you found your medium. Do you ever draw whenever you go to these locations?
Yeah, I draw all the time anymore. I'm starting to go. I really don't show anybody what I've done at locations, but now stuff is coming through. I don't want to say it's automatic writing or anything. It's just something that's presented itself, but I'm going to focus on that a little bit more. And because I've drawn stuff before that I've encountered that I can't explain, and but now they're getting much more detailed and much more in depth with it. And I don't know, I may just save it and put it in a book, but I'm because I'd love to do a book on, just drawings of the paranormal that I've, seen over all these years. And it'll be interesting. So it's on my list. It really is. The new book will all be in color, and it will be called, I'd given it a couple different things because in the book, it'll be all skulls, but there'll be roses with them. I've got hummingbirds. I mean, they're absolutely, it sounds like I'm going to break my arm, pat myself on the back, but they're absolutely stunning. They really are. And so I was trying to think of a name. So at one point I was saying Unexplainable Art, Beautiful Death. But death is such a hard word that I decided to change it. And I actually am really thrilled with what I come up with. The new book will be called Unexplainable Art, Passing of Colors, as what it'll be called. The publisher, I sent them to her, and she absolutely thinks they're amazing. There's 31 colored drawings that I have put in. That's one of them that'll be in there.
Nice.
Actually, I'm proud of them. I wanted to do more, but there was other illustrations I needed to get done, some stuff. So I have plenty more if I wanted to fill up another book, because I was going through my phone today and I'm going, geez, I got over 1,000 drawings in there. Never in my lifetime did I ever think that I would draw that many pictures. But I've evolved. I mean, since 2014 to stuff I'm doing now. I wouldn't show you the stuff in 2014 because it looks like somebody from preschool to Da Vinci. Now, since I've gotten back into really being able to focus and find my spot on what to do. And I call it Unexplainable Art because I don't have some big epiphany. It's just something I can look at and I'll see and I'll draw it. Or this is horrible. I'll see something and go, I can make that better. They're missing a few elements.
Yes.
So I'll redo it, and people go, "Well, you're taking somebody else's stuff." I said, "No, I'm really not. I'm turning it into my own."
Yeah.
And it's been surreal. I mean, like I said, they said, "Let's do a book of your art," and I'm like, "Who gives a shit?" Who's gonna, who are you? It was like when we were at the Paracon and I was up there doing the question and answer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so funny. People are looking and going, who is the big bald guy in the middle there? Because nobody knew who I was. They didn't have a clue. We got all these basic celebrities and well-known people around me. And here's this big bald tattoo guy sitting in the middle of everybody. And it was so funny to watch the expression, because I could see people going, who is that? So my art was kind of the same thing. I know I've done pieces, I've done shows and stuff, but I'm going, who's going to buy a book of my drawings? But boy, was I wrong.
Wow.
I mean, I haven't sold a lot on Amazon. And the thing is, nothing against Amazon. I'm not knocking Amazon or anybody, but by the time the publisher takes their cut and Amazon takes their cut, I get $2 a book.
Wow.
That's all I get.
Wow.
And I haven't made enough off the books to even receive a royalty check from them yet. So I've bought books, and if people want them, they can just email me and I will sign it and they're $15, and I mail them for free. It's 15 will cover everything. I will personalize the books and send them out. And actually, I just sent 3 more out today. And then the postmaster goes, "Oh, you're mailing books and drawings out?" I said, "Yeah." And they go, "Well, use media mail. It'll be a lot cheaper for you." And I'm like,
I think it's like $4 or I mean, it's a standard rate. We literally just found out about that at the jail when it came to sending books.
yeah. And I'm like,
who knew?
Thank you. I mean, because I've been going in, 2 and 3 times a week and personalizing books and getting them out to people. As soon as I receive the money, I've written in the book and I've got it packaged and ready to go. And the next day I will go down and have it in the mail for everybody, because I know how I am. When I buy something, I want it now. And I'm just thrilled that the reaction from everybody when they get the books.
Absolutely. And now, is this Brandon has put your email up there?
It's ready. ReadyMix65@gmail.com. And if you want it, whoever, just give me a shout out, give me your address, and I'll give you my Cash App or PayPal, and I will get it out to you ASAP.
Okay. And I guess they can also reach out to you on, excuse me, on your Facebook page here as well.
Yeah. And I haven't put a lot of new stuff on there lately, because on our show, obviously, we got a Paracon coming up that has just absolutely gone through the roof. Well, all the new stuff that I'm making, I'm going to bring to the Paracon to sell, along with the books. And hopefully by that time, I'll have at least 2 books to share. And there it is. Candy's done an amazing job, and the lineup just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It is going to be so much fun, and the place is not disappointing. I don't know. I got to be pushing close to 30 times I've investigated this place.
Wow.
And it never disappoints, ever, because there's a huge history that goes with it. And it's going to be fun, because there's people that I've wanted to meet for years, and they're actually coming to, our Paracon.
Wow.
And it's a one-day event, but it's going to be worth it. It really is. And my wife will be there. She'll be selling. She makes some amazing jewelry. Unexplainable Art will be there. I'll be selling, books and art. All Out Paranormal will have our booth there. Hopefully I'll have shirts and stuff by then. I'm working on it very hard. But yeah, I'm excited about it, because I've always wanted to put on a Paracon, and man, Candy's just done an amazing job. I don't have the time to be putting into all this stuff with overwhelming with the illustrations and stuff that are going on, and being on shows, getting our show out there, networking, because obviously I've never met a stranger. I can talk to anybody. So that's what I try to do to keep up at the end of it and keep AOP alive. And because it's funny how people have actually follow us and have watched us, and people actually know who I am, and I'm like, wow, because I didn't set out to be some big star or anything. I just wanted to be out there, do what I love to do, and to make a difference, and to meet amazing people like you. I mean, I was like, oh my God, I get to meet the ghost biker. You got to be kidding me. I was like a kid in a candy store, and I'm pushing 60 years old.
Well, the feeling was mutual. And just to meet someone else that shares a passion for art, the paranormal, and of course, motorcycles is always something that I am just, I can't, nothing beats it.
It will be, when I turn 58, June 12th, it will be 51 years I've been riding a motorcycle.
Wow.
I got my first one when I was 7, and I have ridden and had a bike ever since. And I actually was giving it up. I sold my big 2-wheel to my oldest son, and we are taking a weekend away, Father's Day weekend. We're going to take off and go for a ride and be gone the weekend. I had to give it up because I'm a diabetic and I have neuropathy, and I couldn't hold the big bike up anymore. I mean, I'd sit there, and be rocking back and forth trying to hold it up. And I'd gotten to the point, I was like, that's it. I'm done riding. I can't do it. But something inside me said, like hell you are.
Good for you.
So I was sitting and I started doing research on it, and I come across the Can-Ams, and just the design of them, the simplicity of them, and with the independent front suspension, if I hit a curb, I'm just going to drive up over it.
Right.
I'm not going to tip over on the bike. And it was funny. I'm looking, and I don't know if Brandon knows this or not, but I bought it from a Harley dealership. It's a Harley Can-Am dealership. And they had just gotten the bike in that day. It was a 2019, the first year they made the Riker, which is the little brother to the Spider. But I got the 900 Ace Edition, which has 3 driving modes on it. So I sent out an email and told them, and by noon I had the motorcycle. My wife didn't know. I didn't discuss it with her. So she gets home from work and she goes, "Why are you in your riding gear?" And I said, "Get back in the car. We got to get to Cedar Rapids before 5 o'clock. I got to pick up my new motorcycle so I can bring it home."
Surprise.
And I picked up the bike, and it was 136 miles later before I made it back home. I rode it. I showed both my kids. I did not bring the right coat and gloves because it was up after 9 o'clock when I got home, and I was cold. But you know what? I didn't care. I was back riding again.
Good for you. Now, see, that story gives me chills. I
put 4,000 miles on that bike the first year I bought it.
Wow.
Yeah, I bought it in 2021. And I took off on that thing, and it's actually easier to ride now because I had the one knee fixed. So it's more comfortable. It was comfortable before because I'll run it until I got to fill it up with gas before I'll stop. I get to riding with people and go, "Oh, I got to stop. My butt hurts. I got to get off," and I'm like, "Well, I don't. Let's keep going."
You would, but I can keep going. It's not the pain. It's my tank is so small, but I hope to fix that here pretty soon with a bigger bike. But I know exactly that pain.
And it's only a 4-gallon tank, and it's hidden. You can't even see where it's at on the bike. And as soon as it gets down there, I wait for it to say low fuel, and then I'll stop and fill it up, be off it for 20 minutes, and jump back on and go till the fuel light comes on again.
I love it. I love it. So how many miles to the gallon do you get?
About 32.
Okay.
I get on the bike. And that's with my big frame riding on it. And it's a 1-person bike. I can make it a 2-person bike, but I don't have $700 lying around to put a king and queen seat on it. And it wouldn't be a comfortable ride for 2 people to go for a long ride on it. If I had a Spider, that'd be a whole different story.
Yeah.
But I didn't have, 25 grand lying around either. I mean, there was only one owner of this bike and there was only 382 miles on it. I mean, the bike wasn't even broke in yet.
Wow.
And I got such an amazing deal on it. I was like, I'm getting it. It came on their website for a reason that day, and I couldn't type fast enough on my phone to get the email sent out because by God, I was going to have that thing before the end of the day.
Good for you. See, now it's official. We need to meet up, and we need to do one of my haunted motorcycle rides.
Oh, heck yes.
Just
Absolutely.
get us a group together and hit some cool places.
And I'll drive that abomination anywhere. Gotcha, Brandon.
I love it. I love it. Yeah,
And it's actually, that was the thing was, because a lot of Harley riders are so old school, but I've never they're fascinated with it because they're like, what the hell are you riding? And they're just fascinated with it. I mean, there's reverse on it. The only thing I got on it is a brake pedal. That's all automatic.
wow.
And I tell everybody, they're going, oh, it can't be that quick. Yeah. If you're not holding on, it'll throw you off the back of it.
Wow.
Because I can light the tire up on it very easily. Have I done it? No. Yeah, of course I have.
Well, I know I saw photos whenever we were talking, and that is, I mean, it's a beautiful bike.
Yeah, and thank you. I just had it pinstriped last summer too, and so it's really more my bike now. And I'll call it the Dragon because Brendan thinks it's appropriate. So I'm trying to find the right thing to put on that because right now it's got a skull, of course, that's got an American flag through it that's on the front of it. So,
Is it one of your drawings?
And no, actually, it's not. Actually, I did make a drawing like that, but it was my wife actually found the decal and had it put on. The plates are personalized on the bike. And anybody that knows me, I'm not only in stature, but the biggest Queen fan that you're ever going to meet. I have Freddie Mercury tattooed on my arm. I've got Queen tattooed on me. I have one of Brian May's guitars. I've got a signed microphone by Freddie Mercury. My collection, I haven't bought a lot lately, but my collection just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And so the license plate says Innuendo, and that is the last album that Freddie did before he passed away. So that's the license plate that I've got on my bike.
I love it. I love it. Do you like, how do you feel about Adam Lambert taking over as singer? Do you think he's done it justice?
I do, because he didn't try to be Freddie.
Yes.
Because nobody can. Nobody's ever going to sing like that. Nobody ever will. It's been scientifically proven, and I know people out there going, whatever, but it has been. Luciano Pavarotti's vocal cords didn't vibrate at the level that Freddie's did.
Wow.
And there'll never be another Freddie. I mean, the man was amazing to get up there and put on those shows. And I'm getting goosebumps just talking about Freddie. I mean, and everybody goes, oh, you're obsessed with him. No, I wasn't obsessed. I really didn't know who they were. I had a friend, Scott Weaver, introduce them to me. And ever since then, my appreciation for the love of music just went through the roof after I heard Freddie and the rest of Queen and the way they did their music, because it was different than everybody else's. Even to the day that Freddie, passed away. And it got a lot of hurdles and did a lot for me growing up. Mm-hmm. And the music was always there, and it always spoke to me in a different way. And just a huge appreciation. I mean, I love music, period. But hearing Freddie sing made even a huger impression on me, because it was such an appreciation to hear the singer-songwriter and actually people that could sing,
Mm-hmm.
because there's people out there now, if they couldn't sing a note if it wasn't for auto-tuning.
No
You
kidding.
know, I don't think that's right. And there's not many singer-songwriters out there anymore,
No.
which is sad. But yeah, actually the pinstriping on the accessory bag on the back of the bike, my buddy, if you have to look, but there's an FM and an RN overlapping each other for Freddie Mercury and Rex Nielsen that
That's
are
cool.
on it. I didn't know he was going to do it.
Nice.
And he goes, "Do you care?" And I went, "Are you serious? You think I'm going to get after you? There's no way." I said, "Nobody else is going to have that on their bike."
That's right.
You know, and I've ridden it actually quite a bit this year, but lately I've been so busy, I just haven't had. I did ride it last weekend. I drove it to Edinburgh, then I drove it to Dubuque, and that's when we jumped in Candy and Derek's vehicle and we drove to Missouri and did that, and then come back to Dubuque, and then because it's almost a 2-hour drive, about an hour and 40 minutes for me from Dubuque back to Owine. But I take this awesome, winding, beautiful 2-lane road, and which is longer, but it also just drives right to their front door, and it drives right to my front door. And I don't have to do. I hate riding interstate because people just don't look out for us at all.
No, I prefer the 2-lane over any other road.
Yep, and that's what it was when I went to Waverly Hills. That was all 2-lane. Never got on an interstate at all.
Nice. I love it. Well, we are getting toward the end of the show here at the bottom of the hour. Why don't you go on there, Rex? So, we've been pulling up some of the different pages, putting them in the comments there so that people can go back and look. We also have them in the show notes, but why don't you tell people where they can find you? Again, reiterate that email address and stuff where people can
Absolutely.
reach out.
You can find me on my regular Facebook page, Rex Nielsen. I'm bigger in life. You can find me. All Out Paranormal. You can find me there as well. My Unexplainable Art. You can find me there. As if anybody wants a book, I mean, you can order it off of Amazon. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want it personalized, then you can get it from me. And it's simply at ReadyMix, Reddymix, the number 65 at gmail.com. And if you guys want to know, that's what my aunt called me for years, because one of her kids couldn't say Rex, so they called me Reddy. So it just went from there. So my aunt, that's almost 90 years old, has always called me ReadyMix. So it was fitting as an email address. So yeah, just shoot me out an email address. And like I said, you can catch me there. My phone number that's on any of my pages is my personal phone. It's on 24/7. If I don't answer it, please leave a message. I will call you right back. But if you don't leave a message, I won't call back. So okay. I'm not hard to get a hold of. I mean, I don't have a lot of things. I don't have a website or anything, but those are where you can find me. And
got to listen to the podcast.
Yes. And last night, tonight was our first one on Supernatural Inc. And it's so cool to go from there and come right over onto your show. I was out of breath because I had to run so far to get on to get to the other show.
Right.
And of course, Talker's here. Where? Come here. Come on, boo boo. Are you serious? Now he's going to sit there and look at me like I don't know, like I'm an idiot.
He's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
He's like,
There he is. Come here. Yes. So everybody can see you. Come here, baby. And there he is. That's my baby kitty.
Oh.
One of my rescues. All my animals are rescues. Even my chameleon that's over here, Summer, she's a rescue. My bearded dragon's a rescue. My 2 cats are rescues. Actually, I've had more cats and a dog, but everything I've had is a rescue. And people go, really? The lizards are rescues? Yep, because somebody ended up buying a whole bunch because it's such a cool thing and then weren't taking care of them. So I was approached and said, at first, I didn't want to because I was like, I don't want any more pets because everybody goes, oh, you need a new dog. I lost my dog of 16 years and I don't want another one because I had to put him down.
Yep.
And I can't go through that again. I really can't. So, but when it came up and nobody else was taking them, my youngest son, Shane, took the chameleon. And she's one of the coolest creatures I've ever seen. She's got kind of an attitude, though. But then you've got Barry. I mean, you can reach in and pick up Barry, and he loves being held. And my wife found out he doesn't like Barry Manilow or Barry White. But if you pay Metallica for him or the Bee Gees, he freaking loves it.
He's got good taste.
He does. And he does. When you talk to him, he'll turn and look at you.
Oh.
Like he knows exactly what you're saying. And he's so docile. And so he loves to be picked up. And I've actually got a playpen for him that my sister bought. So when I'm out on my deck and outside, I can put him in there, the top zips, and then he's out in the real sunlight. And he loves it.
Cool. That is cool. Yeah, I had a turtle and for a long time, and she was one that I rescued from a pool skimmer, and her shell was damaged because she had been in with the chlorine.
Right.
And I actually ended up naming her Chlorine. And she was the coolest turtle. And she knew. She was like a dog. I mean, she would come up to you and she would, she knew when you came in the room and was going to feed her. And if I was working, I had her in there with my computer. And so anytime I was doing editing work or anything like that, she loved it when I would come in the room because she would come to the edge of the aquarium and she would just watch. And she couldn't retract into her shell because the carapace was damaged around the edge from the chlorine. But she would, and when she would sleep, and that's why I could never release her, because when she would sleep, she would just spread her legs out and just lay her head down because she couldn't retract. And she was the best turtle. They're like, that people don't realize the personalities that reptiles and stuff have.
I never thought I'd ever get close to a damn lizard, but he's just so cool. And he's not mean, he's not aggressive. And now if I pick him up and go to put him back in, he doesn't want to get out of my hand. And I'm like, come on, man, Dad'll be back, because I spend a lot of time in here. And it's funny because he'll get down and he'll sit there and he'll look back and forth and, are you going to speak to me, Dad? And then, of course, baby kitty comes running in and smacks the glass. And he does it all the time, thinking that Barry's going to jump. Barry doesn't move at all. So it just frustrates the cat even more. He's waiting for him I'm going to get him this time. He'll jump. He'll come up there and thump that glass, and Barry just keeps staring straight ahead.
Gotta love it. So is your next event the Paracon, or do you have any events coming up before then?
Well, I'll let you guys know. The one that's going to be going on in Alabama, the one in August.
Yes.
Litriana asked if I was going to be there, and I said the funds just aren't there. I mean, I live off my disability, which is $1,700 a month. Mm-hmm. They tried to take my retirement when I retired from the sheriff's department. So I make it work if I can, but we're crunching numbers and stuff, and I'm really going to try to be there. Oh, I really am.
Hopefully you can be there, because that's one I'm going to be at as well. So hopefully we'll see you again there.
Yeah, I'm working on my vehicle. I had somebody do some work on it, and it wasn't done right. So I'm fixing it myself. I'm no grease monkey and fix stuff like my father or Chaim can do, but
Mhm.
by God, I'm going to get it done. But I was underneath there way too long today. I got out and I was like, oh my God, and I got a show to do. I was walking like Quasimodo, you know, to get back to the house I was like, no, I'm done. I'm taking a shower. The car's still going to be there tomorrow. I ain't going anywhere.
I totally understand. Well, Rex, this has just been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this
Thank
double
you.
header with me tonight. I've had so much fun.
Oh, me too. And it's an absolute honor and a blessing to have been on your show. I can't thank you enough. Hopefully, we'll do this a lot more and we'll be
Yes.
seeing more of each other down the
Yes.
road. And we'll definitely go for a ride. You don't have to ask me twice.
I love it. I love it. We're going to compare calendars here later because we definitely got to make that happen.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
And thank you all so much over there in the comments for your comments, your questions. If you didn't tune in on these Thursday nights, we obviously wouldn't have a show. So it really is very, very much appreciated. I am going to have to head over to the Scott County Jail here in a few
That's
minutes.
right.
Like I said, we have a full weekend, have an investigation tonight, an investigation tomorrow night, and a sold out flashlight tour there on Saturday night. So if you aren't going to be able to make it out to the jail, make it out to the historic Rugby After Dark. We do have lantern tours Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night on the schedule, and we do have some tickets left for that. Those are going to be our first tours kicking off here, with this new event and new company. So definitely please go and check out the website historyhighwayshaunts.com. And you can see both of our locations. You can see the historic Scott County Jail. It will lead you right to that page. And you can also click on Rugby After Dark, and that will lead you to that page as well, where you can book lantern tours, guided ghost hunts, and private paranormal investigations. I wanted to mention this at the top of the hour, but since I didn't get to, I do want to make sure to mention, we mentioned it last weekend, but the Spirits of Deadwood Paracon that's going to be taking place September 29th and 30th, that is sponsored by Sacred Mountain Retreat Center, Supernatural Inc., Horn Paranormal, and I'm absolutely honored to be one of the investigators on this investigation. So it's going to be cool. This is going to be my first time going out to Deadwood and to Sturgis, and I can't think of a more fitting location to be heading out to. So I hope that you guys, if you're in the area, I hope you'll come out and
I'm
check
going to
it out.
try. I'm really trying because I'd love to be a part of it.
Well, I know I'm going to be coming out early, and so hoping to get some good riding and stuff in. So definitely may have to. Hopefully we can do some riding out there if you get to make it out.
I'm trying. I mean, if I don't make it, it's not for my lack of trying, but I'm really going to give it a shot. I really am. And when you get a chance, message me your address and I will send you one of my books, and I have a couple drawings in mind to send you. So
I would love that. And that's actually a wonderful idea. I've got a couple drawings I would like to send you myself.
Fantastic. I'd love to have some of your art.
Drawing swap.
You betcha. And if you want to message to me tonight, I will actually get it in the mail out to you tomorrow.
That sounds great. I will do that here after the show, Rex.
All righty.
All right. And so again, thank you all so much. And I hope you have a safe and blessed Memorial Day weekend. Next week,
Absolutely.
We've got a packed show here. Let me just double check, make sure I'm not saying it wrong on here. Next week, I have the ladies from Skeletels podcast. I was on their show a couple months ago, and they're also one fellow writers as well. So I'm sure we'll be talking about traveling of the two-wheel variety, as well as other stories about that they've gotten from their podcast. They host an amazing podcast that's a lot of fun to listen to. So definitely want to tune in next week. Catch up on the podcast that I was on of theirs. We do have that in the archives, but also tune in so we can watch them live with your questions and comments. And again, I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Be on the lookout for the video that's going to be coming out over the next week of the past weekend's dart run. We've got some really cool shots and stuff from that, and some other information of some really cool events that are coming up. So until then, I hope everyone has a great night.
Thank you, everybody.